D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I watched The Last of Us last night, and I don't know I don't know where this show is going. Like, how could this possibly get like any better? Like, they don't have any of these clackers or clickers running around. It's just this guy and this little girl, which I mean is fine because I mean, like, I get it. It's like humanity at the end of the times or whatever. But I'm like, there's no action. And like, I understand that it's not always about like action sequences and stuff, but pardon me, I do think that you do need to have some of that stuff in your show, or like, what's the point? I'm just sitting around watching these people talk and everything, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't know. There was some good parts in this. We found Tommy, and there was like a good scene where she's like reading this book, which I'll get to when we do the breakdown, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I always say that, and then I go off on these tangents and everything. But this show, like, this is the thing. This show is not bad. Because if it was bad, I'd be crapping all over it right now. But the show is not like when I watch it, I'm just like, okay, and then it ends, and I'm just like, okay. Like, I don't feel like I wasted my time 100%. I just wish that, and I know a lot of people have told me, well, you just don't like character development. And that's not true. I love character development, but I just go like, they talk an awful lot about how Joel was just this bad guy and he killed all these people. And I'm all like, well, where's that guy at? Because daddy wants to see some action. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a little, like, we got like one like tiny little fight in this one, but I was like, that lasted like what, like a hot second. And me personally, I'm just like, listen, I need a little bit more, especially with the zombies and stuff, because I understand that this is a show, but it was originally a game. And during that, you have gameplay where you're just fighting zombies left and right. You can't just be always just walking around talking. Like, you can't. That's not a game. So I'm all like, can't we just add just a little bit more clacker action? You know what I'm saying? Just like, like a thing pops out and it's like, and everything. You're just like, ooh, get him. Just a little bit more of that, please. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think I'm asking for, I don't think we're going to get that next episode. From what I understand, from what I've seen from Twitter, is next episode is what is the main girl's name? Oh shoot, I'm really bad with names. Allie. Oh, it doesn't even matter. Anyways, the main Ellie. It's her and her girlfriend, and like how she lost her girlfriend and stuff. I hope I'm not giving any spoilers away. It's from the game, but I didn't play the game, but I was seeing it online because people were like putting up pictures of the thing from the trailer, a picture of them from the trailer, and then a picture of them from the game. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm just afraid that it'll be like another Bill and Frank episode where it's like no clackers or clickers, and then we're just sitting here just talking about our feelings at the end of the world. And I'm all like, that's fine, but that's not what this show was advertised. So, but yeah. All right. Now that I've said all that, I do want to get into this because, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to say before I get started on this breakdown that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we keep getting pushed to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get started on this breakdown real quick. So it starts off with a vision of this Henry and gosh, I can't remember their names. Anyways, and him shooting his brother. And then it's 3 months later. I was like, 3 whole months. Okay, cool. Whatever. It's cool. And they made it to Montana. And they come up, this guy is bringing stuff, there you see a dead deer, and he's bringing in these rabbits from the cold, and this hunter guy, and he comes in, and this woman's sitting in her thing, and she gives like the look and everything, and he acts normal, sets his bow down, and in comes Joel, and he's like, take your gun out of your pocket or whatever, both with 2 fingers, and he sets it down, and he's like he's like, you let him in or whatever. And she's like, they came in. He's like, you made him soup? And she's like, yeah. She's like, he's got a kid with him. And she's like, can I come down now? And he's all like, yeah, no. And she's like, all right. So she comes down. And these two, I liked this couple. I don't remember this actor guy's name right here, but I've always liked him. He's fun. This woman was fun too. They were a fun couple. But long story short, they were like, why did you come out here? And he's like, because people leave us alone and everything. And then he also asks, he points out to the map and he's like, where are we on this map? And then he's like, oh, you're lost. And she's like, yeah, once you start losing signs and stuff, you get a little lost. And he's all like, huh. So then he's all like, where is he at? And he's like, and your answer better be the same as your wife's. And he goes, did you tell him the truth? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, are you telling me the truth? And she's like, yeah. I was like, I like that line. That was good. That was good. So then he shows them, and apparently their answer was the same because he puts his thing down and he's all worried. And they're all like, if you go past the river, there's nothing but dead bodies. And yeah, there's nothing but dead bodies because of like, I'm assuming he says raiders. So he's the river or whatnot. And so he's a little bummed because he's like, my brother's probably dead. And he's like, you're not going to scare us. And she's like, we scared him. And so they leave and she steals these rabbits, which I was like, oh, you stole their rabbits. That's not cool, but whatever. Survival of the fittest. And he starts to have what I think is a panic attack because his brother, he might have lost his brother already. And I was like, that is a bummer because I don't want your brother to be dead. So then they start moving and she asks, can you teach me how to hunt? Oh, and they get to the river, I think she called it the Death River or the River of Death or whatnot. And this is really beautiful. I don't remember where they shot this at, but it's like this show, this doesn't make me go, this show is great because they do the scenery stuff, but this is really, really great. I love, like, I'm not like the biggest nature fan. I'm more of a city girl myself, but when you see it, it's just so beautiful and everything. And I just love this. I love this little part right here with the little thing. And then the mountains in the background, so beautiful. Nature's great. So they pass the River of Death. He is taping up his shoes. We've all been there, right? And she's looking up at the sky. And then they sit here and they chat a little bit. Oh, she asks if she can have a sip of his alcohol. And she's like, oh, it's still disgusting. So I'm like, when was the last time you had alcohol? And so they talk about what they want to do when the apocalypse is over and they find a cure. And he says he wants to be a sheep farmer or whatever. He just wants to raise sheep and everything because sheep listen and they don't talk back and all that stuff. And she basically says she wants to be an astronaut. She wants to go to the moon. And you realize at this point in time that that's not possible. We're never going back to the moon at this point. We're either going to die out or find a cure like she did, but the old generation will die off and the new generation will live with the fungus either in them or, they won't be able to, when they do get it in them, they'll be fine. Because that's the thing. If Ellie gets pregnant, she's going to pass that on to her kids and then they'll be immune. And then if they have kids, they'll pass that on to their kids and they'll be immune and so on and so forth. So as soon as they figure out, I don't know if it'll be a cure, but it would just be some kind of like, thing that like an injection or something like that they can give them to where you, like me and you, would be immune, kind of like polio, like once you get it, you can't get polio. A vaccination. Sorry, I don't. Yeah. So then they decide. So he's like, I'll fall. She's like, you want me to take the second shift or first shift? He's like, I'll take both. And she's like, okay. So he falls asleep and she kind of scolds him a little bit for falling asleep. And she's like, you fell asleep. And it kind of reminded me of last episode when she fell asleep with was it Henry? What's the other little boy's name? What's the little boy's name? Is it Henry? I'm just gonna call him Henry. And I'm like, you fell asleep when he was turning. So you don't get any say in this because that really upset me when she fell asleep. But anyways. So they get to the bridge and they cross the bridge in the River of Death. And when she did this, she was like trying to whistle, like I don't know how to whistle like that. I just do the thing. Yeah. And so they're walking. I can't remember what they talk about here. And they get to this dam. And she's all like, how's it work? And he's like, I have no idea. And she's like, you could have made something up. I would have believed you. And I'm like, yeah, you could have made that up. I would have believed you. This show could have said anything and I would have believed you. Would have believed you. Yeah. So they go past the dam or whatnot. And she's like, hey, Joel, do you think maybe this is actually the river of death? And he looks at the map. And as he does that, some horses come around the bend and they surround them. And they're like, what are you doing? He's like, put your gun down. What are you doing? And he's all like, I'm just looking for my brother. And he's like, have the girl take 6 steps back and everything. And they're like, this dog can sense the infected. And if you're infected, it's going to tear you apart. Which makes me think that the fungus can infect animals, because earlier they had that deer strung up. And I'm all like, you wouldn't eat an infected like meat because you could get the fungus. So, and then this dog is fine. And remember, those buffalo were fine. And then later on, we'll see some monkeys. And I'm all like, maybe the fungus doesn't infect animals, because all the animals in this world are just fine and dandy. So then it sniffs him and he's fine. Then they're getting worried because she is infected. But since she's immune, all that stuff. So she goes up to it and he freaks out. He's like, oh my gosh, this is the end. And the dog is like licking her and stuff. Hold on, let me see if I can get it. Yeah, it's like petting her, licking her and stuff. I didn't get a good shot of that, but it doesn't matter. So they're okay. She's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm looking for my brother. And this woman's all like, your brother and everything. And so they ride back to, hold on, I want to show a wide version of this, their fortress. So there they are riding. Hold on, let me see if I can get, there we go. Oh, it doesn't really show a wide version of it. So I thought there was one. Hold on. We're gonna see if there is one. Oh, there it is. So it's basically like a fort from olden times, like look at this long like fence, but it's all made of like logs and stuff. And you can see houses in the background. You'll find out later that this is a commune. So they go inside. Very, very cool that they have this set up and everything. So they go in here and it's like a little Western town, all quaint and cute and stuff. So they're just, trying to build some kind of civilization. And because they're up here in the mountains or whatnot, it's cold. I'm pretty sure the clackers won't come up here because, most plants can't survive in the cold. I mean, yeah, they just like, that's why trees, they like lose their leaves because like they like hibernate or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know all the logistics of the science. So they go through this town and they're looking at stuff and he sees his brother and he's like, Tommy. And Tommy comes down and they hug. And I was like, when this happened, I was like, oh, I mean, I didn't cry or anything, but I was like, oh, he found his brother. Warms my heart. I love seeing it. And I can't remember what he says. He like, you got old or something like that. And he's like, so they're sitting in this, like, I don't know, this little cafeteria and they're eating and they're like, it's been a long time since we had a home cooked meal. And she's like, I've never had a home cooked meal. This is effing delicious. And he's like, watch your mouth and everything. And I'm all like, don't tell her to talk. Like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, thank you, ma'am, and everything. And all this stuff. And then he's like, you gotta watch your manners. She's like, hey, what? And this girl's like looking at her and she's like, they just haven't seen somebody like you. And she's all like, maybe I could teach a thing or two about standing up for themselves or some crap like that. I can't remember. It doesn't even matter. So they're eating and then he's like, do you mind if we have a minute together, just family? And she's like, well, actually, we're married. And she's like, oh, congrats. She's like, Joel, say congrats. And he's like, congrats. So they come out here and she starts explaining the town. And at this point, she explains it and he's pretty much like, he goes, so they like share everything and they're a commune, she says. And he's like, so it's basically communism. Oh, wait. So they're explaining how they got started. So they start off with the fence had started kind of, but then they built it up and everything. They got that dam working. They've got the electricity and the lights and there's an ATM right there. That's an ATM. I wonder what it does now because there's no money. But they got the lights working. They've got water pumps and sewage and everything. So they basically have a civilization set up. But they talk about how it's communism or socialism. They're the same thing. And Tommy tries to like, because Tommy, remember, he said is a follower. Tommy's a follower. He's not a leader. So, and this woman is she's from True Blood. That's where I know her from. But she's an elected leader on the council. She's not the leader. I don't know if she's a leader in the book or in the game. Because I haven't played it. So this is all new to me. And I'm not quite sure if this is how it goes down. They see this new horse. They give him a house, all this stuff. And she's going to go take a shower while he talks to Tommy. They have that family talk. And they have alcohol and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, we're trying to raise hogs so we can have bacon. He's like, Christmas trees and bacon. He's like, you really do have it all up here. And I was like, bacon's delicious, kind of. I don't know. I'm not really a big pork person, but sometimes I do like bacon. But I like the thicker, like English bacon. I like that better than I do like bacon strips. Anyways, okay, so long story short, he's talking about going past to get her to. He lies to him at first, but he's trying to get him. He tells him that Firefly, she's the daughter of some Firefly hoity-toity, and he's getting her to the thing because he was looking for him, and he's like, oh, it was just on your way, and he's like, there's a fee. He's like, yeah. And then he tells him, he's like, listen, he's like, is the trek from here to where I need to take her, is that dangerous? And he's like, no. And he's like, so people have come back, and he's like, yeah. It's a pretty easy trek. You can shoot clackers from a mile away and stuff. And he's like, all right. He's like, well, I need you to help me take her to there. And he's like, I can't. He's like, and then he goes, Ellie's, or not Ellie, his woman, Rachel, I don't remember her name. It doesn't even matter. She's in it for like 2 seconds. But she's preggers with his baby. And he's like, I have a life here. And he's like, okay, and stuff. So and then this is where he says something about Sarah, Sarah dying may have been the end of his world, but it wasn't that. It may have been the end of Joel's world, but it wasn't the end of his world. So then he leaves and he gets that panic attack again. And I'm not quite sure why he has this panic attack, but it might be just like his daughter. So he sees this and he remembers his daughter because of her hair. And this is obviously not his daughter because his daughter is dead. So we go back to this room where she's taking a shower and she sees, it says, I'm across the street, but she gets these new clothes from that woman. I don't remember her name. I wish I would have wrote it down. Sorry, I'm really bad with names. So anyways, so then she sees this cup thing. That is for your menstrual cycle. Yes, I've seen those before. It's freaking gross, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's the end of that. And this is their house, which I think that their house is very charming. Like, it's very charming. I like these archways. I love the color. I love this little brick and mortar part. Very cute, very charming. Okay, so anyways, so she goes over and she lets herself in, and she sees this little chalkboard which says Kevin and Sarah. And if you notice, this Kevin, which we find out later is what's-her-face's son, and he was only 3 years old. And Sarah, was like a teenager. But I was like, oh, that's so sad. She lost her son at 3. It's very sad. So then she comes in and she's like, look, I traded for this coat. And I'm like, I thought you guys were just giving stuff away, huh? Now you got to trade for it. So then she gives it to her. You can tell she's preggers. And so she's like, it's really effing purple. And she's like, it's eggplant. And how's it fit? She's like, let me cut your hair. And she's all like, just the ends. And she's like, is this what you did before the apocalypse? And she's like, no, I was a district attorney. I put bad people away. And she's all like, are you bad people? Oh, and earlier they talk about having a bad rep. He's like, just because you have a bad reputation doesn't mean you're a bad person. I'm like, doesn't it though? I mean, if you do bad things and you have a reputation for doing those bad things, you're a bad person. I'm sorry. That's just the end of the discussion. You can't make up excuses for that. Oh, I did what I had to. Okay, you did what you had to. What you had to do were bad things. Okay, so she's talking and she's basically saying like, Joel did bad things, but Tommy did bad things too. And she's like, yeah, because Joel made him do those things. And I was like, stop making up excuses. I mean, although Tommy is a follower, he is very much a follower. I can't remember what they talk about here. Sorry. And then she's like, all right, come on, we're going to go to the movies. They're watching this movie. I don't know what movie this is, but whatever it is, I haven't seen it before. So, yeah. And all these kids are watching it and everything. And she sees these two talking. But then he goes to talk to Joel, who's trying to fix his shoes from before. And he sits down. He's like, she's immune. He tells her, he's like, you can't tell your woman, but she's immune, Tommy. She's got the fungus inside of her, and I'm going to take her and get her cured, or get the cure for her, and we have a chance. He's like, but I can't take her because I'm getting old. And he talks about how he has these fears because of he's always of everything he's done, he's failed. And I'm all like, man, I was like, man, this is hardcore. This is like really hurting. He's like, I need you. You're younger, you're faster, you're stronger, you can hear. And Ellie, while this is going down, she hears him. I don't know where she's at, where she hears this stuff, but I'm like, whatever. And maybe I glanced away from the TV. Maybe we'll see here. But he's like, I need you to take her. And you can't tell anybody about her being immune and everything. So he basically decides he's gonna go, but he goes back in here and he ignores his wife. And I'm all like, now listen, I get him not telling his wife because of the whole cure thing, because then she might tell everybody else, and I don't trust these people. Anything socialism or communism, I don't trust it at all, not one freaking bit. So he goes back to the house, and I really liked this scene right here because she's like, boys, whether this shirt matched with this or whatever, this is what the girls have then had to deal with. It's not that hard and everything. So, and then she says, everybody and she mentions Sarah, and he's like, don't. And she's like, and she talks about everybody that's ever left her, everybody that she's ever loved or cared about has either died or left her, and except for him. And she feels safe with him, and anybody else besides him, she'll just be scared again. And yeah, so he goes and he remembers Sarah, and then putting stuff on the Christmas tree. I really like this. As soon as I saw this, I was like, I really liked this actress a lot. She was really, really good in the one episode, and like the 10 minutes that we saw her, she did a really good job, because as soon as I saw her face, I was like, she did a really good job. I would like to see her in more stuff. Hopefully one day, I'll have to look her up and try to keep an eye. So he goes to sleep, and he wakes up in the next morning, and she's ready to go. Tommy comes in. He's like, you ready or whatnot? So they walk over to the horse stable, and he's all like, I was going to steal it. He's like, I would have gave it to you. And he's all like, listen, he's all like, I thought I'd give you the choice. And she throws the bag at him, and she's like, let's go, kind of thing. And so he's like, I'm going to need a gun. Can I borrow your gun? He's like, yeah. And he's like, your woman took mine. He's like, I already said yes. So he's like, he gives him a hug, and I can't remember what he says here. Oh, he says, you're always welcome here, which I'm all like, they could settle down there. But I mean, like I said before, you can't trust these people. Not one bit. So they let him out, and they ride off into wherever. So he's teaching her how to shoot, and she's all like, it's not working right. It's off or whatnot. And he's like, it's not off. So he does it, and he shoots the thing perfectly. And she's like, dick. And it says a-hole right there. And he shot it perfectly. So she's just not good at it, which I thought that was fun. This is a good shot. I like that too. So they're riding off and everything. And I can't remember what they talk about here, but yeah. So they get to I-25. They ride into town, and he said, and he tells her how he said he wanted to be a sheep herder, but he doesn't want to be a sheep herder anymore. When he was younger, he wanted to be a singer. And she's like, oh, I want to sing something for me. And I thought that they would have him sing at some point in this episode, but they did not. I don't even know if Pedro Pascal can sing. He probably can. So they see these monkeys. And again, this is where I go that animals can't be infected. So long story short, they see the firefly thing. Sorry, I said long story short. They go in, they see these little things, but they're not manned. So they go into this building, and it's all ransacked or whatever. And she's like, doctors have definitely been here. So they hear a noise, they go in, and it's the monkeys, and they're just, hanging around. Then they hear another noise, and they go up to they see where they had went. They had went down to Salt Lake City. So then they hear another noise, and it's these goons, these baddies. And so like, we got to go out the back. So they get to the horse and she gets on and then she's like, Joel. And this baddie comes up behind him and he chokes him out and cracks his neck. Breakies. And then the other guys come along, but he's been stabbed. And then he pulls it out. And I just want to say, listen, I am no medical expert, but I've always saw on TV, heard from other people, and then my wife works in the medical field, and they always say, if you have something sticking in you, do not pull it out. Leave it in there until you get to the hospital, because as soon as you pull it out, that's when the blood starts to flow, because that whatever that item is, it's keeping everything together and it's stopping blood flow. Not always, but sometimes. And don't take I'm not an medical expert. I'm just saying you want to keep it in until a medical professional can take it out and then start working as soon as it comes out. So he gets stabbed, and then the other goons come. They get on the horse, they ride away, and she's shooting, and she's like, I don't think they're coming. And then he falls off the horse, and she's like, Joel, open your eyes, stay with me, open your eyes, Joel, open your eyes. And that's where the episode ends, right there. Okay. So again, this episode wasn't bad. It was just very like, I don't know, man. Like, I just wanted like more action than some goons like attacking them. But there were some like heartfelt moments, like when he found his brother, you know, when I love Pedro Pascal is acting his butt off. Like when she mentioned Sarah and he's like, don't. I was like, ooh. I was like, that's good. That's good. And then like, you know, when he has his panic attacks or whatever, when he was having his talk with his brother about how he's afraid and how he always fails and all that stuff right there, acting wise, top notch. And Bella Ramsey is doing a good job. Also, but she's not doing as good a job as Pedro Pascal, in my opinion. But this was a good, I mean, this is the thing. It was a good episode, but I'm telling you right now, there better be some zombies in the next one. I have a feeling it's not going to be like we're going to get like one zombie like we did in the Bill and Frank episode. But I don't know about you, but I just need a little bit more zombies. Like I just need them to be like all up in the episode. All right, I'm going to end it there because I took a little bit longer than I would like to. Yeah, tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think this show is headed in the right directions? I'm curious to see where it's going to end. Like he just takes her to the hospital and like leaves her there, and they just separate. I do know, and I'm sorry I'm spoiling this for somebody because I spoiled it last time and I feel bad about that. But I do know Joel doesn't make it. He does die in the second game, so season 2, which I'm like, how do you have this show without Pedro Pascal? That's weird. But I'm just like, do they separate? Do they make it to the hospital and there's nobody there? What's I'm just curious to where this ends. Like, I'm just like, how does this end? Where's this going? And I do have a coworker he's like, the ending is really, really good. And I'm like, okay, well, everybody keeps saying that and bragging it up. So hopefully it's really, really good, because I'm kind of going to be annoyed if it's not. But at the same time, I go, if everybody says it's good and and I'm the one person that says it's not good, it's probably good. And I'm just, but yeah. All right, guys, tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind if you're new to my channel. Please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on my next Last of Us breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.